just got done sanitizing this carboy, cleaning it out. We're actually going to be doing quite a bit today, but let me show you here first is we're racking Moscato. Just added a potassium, or the sorbate, I mean, yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're transferring from one primary to the other, and this has been sitting, we started this in March of this year. So as it gets transferred over with the all-in-one, it's actually going to start to degas it. But I'm also going to take it to one more step. Is I'm going from a 5-gallon into a 6-gallon, and I'm not even going to have to top it off because we're going to do a short informative video on how to use the Headspace Eliminators. Love these things. You notice this one, this is a 6.5 gallon, or no, I'm sorry, this is a 6-gallon carboy with 5 gallons of worstmeter in it. So you see the Headspace in there. We started this one back in March of this year too, and well, probably about once a month I hit it again with the vacuum. I took the Headspace Eliminator off and then reapplied it just to see if I get any more gas out of it, and really time has done the job on this one. Got very, very minimal gas out of it, but that's the beauty of this Headspace Eliminator, along with racking, is as it's racking, it'll degas, and then when you put the Headspace Eliminator on, it will degas some more. Alright, we'll be back in short when we're ready to do the apply the Headspace Eliminator. I'll do a step-by-step on that, how it's done. It's very easy, and personally I think Steve's come up with a pretty awesome thing here. Alright, later. I've just finished racking 5 gallons of Moscato. And I was, to my surprise, we didn't get a whole lot of gas out of it, CO2, but we'll find out here if there's any more in there once I put the Headspace Eliminator on this. Okay, first of all, I've ordered a few of these, and soon I'll be ordering more off of Steve, but what you'll receive in the package is a Headspace Eliminator along with a white cap and an adapter, and of course instructions. And I will show you as we go step by step here how it works using the all-in-one pump. And trust me when I tell you, this is so easy, and it saves a lot of hassle of worrying about Headspace. Now you can see I've got 5 gallons in a 6-gallon carboy. Don't bother me a bit, because with this Headspace Eliminator, it's no different than if it was topped up, because when this is put on, you're actually going to encase that Headspace in CO2, which will, it's a protective blanket, so absolutely no oxygen can get to the wine. And what's really cool is if there's any gas in it, it's another step of helping to degas the wine. Alright, I'm going to get things prepared here, and we're going to do this video in well, maybe 3 or 4 different steps. Alright, now I've got the Headspace Eliminator out, and I've got a bottle of sanitizer. And what Steve suggests, and I suggest too because it's already happened to me, is put a little bit of sanitizer or meta into the hole right here that goes into the Headspace Eliminator. And what you're going to do is just have a little bit inside there so it won't stick when this collapses. All right, as you can see, we've already applied the adapter to the end here, and what this will do is this will just slide over here, not past the very, the bottom of it. Just push it on just enough to get it sealed. If you push it all the way on, trust me, I've already found out it's kind of hard to get off there. All right, so I've sanitized everything. All we're going to do is we just set this on here. I have the all-in-one set up with this hose on the vacuum side. So we install the Headspace Eliminator and carboy, and as you see now with that adapter on there, the adapter just makes the vacuum side hose the proper size to fit on there. Okay, and then we're going to be turning this on, and what it'll do is it's going to start sucking all the oxygen through the vacuum pump. And once it reaches 9 inches of vacuum, you'll see the bulb collapse. And that's an indicator that you have the carboy, it's under vacuum. But what I really love about this, not only that, if there's CO2 in it, you'll see it start bubbling up. Because once it reaches 14 inches of vacuum, you'll hear the pump start to strain a little bit, and the vacuum be getting to its highest point, which is 22, 24. While that's going on, it's actually pulling CO2 up out of there. So once it reaches that point where you hear the vacuum pump straining a little bit, you just shut it off. All right, we're going to go ahead and start it up, and you'll see that this don't take much at all. Alright, there it's collapsed, so it's reached 9. Now it's working its way up to around 14, where if there is any CO2 in there, you'll see it just start to bubble up. And I gotta tell you, when I just racked this, you also pull CO2 out racking with the all-in-one. I got very little out of it, so apparently time has done its job on degassing. But that isn't always the case, as a lot of you found out. So if you use the old style of using a whip and a drill degassing, I think you would seriously want to consider going to this process. Alright, well, I'm listening to the pump. It's reaching that higher pitch level, which tells me that it's getting to strain a little bit. I usually go no more than a minute. Most of the time, a little less than a minute. Alright, so I'm looking. I see a couple little bubbles here and there, but there you go. Yeah, we're getting a little bit now. I don't know, hoping you can see this in the video. Right there. So see, we are getting a little bit of CO2 out of there. Now one of the most important things to remember is don't continue running the pump. There's not a necessity to do that. I'm shutting it off now. It's reached its peak, and it's still under pressure. Or I'm sorry, pressure. It's under vacuum. And guess what? It's just going to sit there and keep degassing. Alright. Now if you're going to let it sit for a long period of time, personally, a month or less, when I'm using Headspace Eliminators, I'll come back in, release them, clean it, and do the process over again. And what this does is this assures that if there was any vacuum bleeding down, I can get it back up to that pressure where it's going to degas. And of course, if it doesn't show any more CO2 release, well then your job there is done. All right, very simple. Pop the hose off, grab the white cap, which is just a little extra protection. Just barely push it on. Do not push it past that knurl. You'll regret it. I've already done it. Rookie mistake. All right, there you go. As simple as that. I mean, I really don't know how much easier that can be. You know, prior to us using the Headspace Eliminators, we were like most everybody else, topping off with like wine or sometimes using water. I always hated to do that, but that's the only recourse I had until Steve come along and sucked me into his life of crime. Steve, I love your products. Once again, I'm telling you, you won't regret it. This all-in-one Headspace Eliminators does the job. All right, I'm back for one more short clip here. I just wanted to point something out. First of all, I'm sure everybody else does that. When I racked, I thieved a little bit out to taste it, and of course it tastes fantastic. What I'm really impressed about is the clarity of that. I have not filtered it. I will filter it because I just love the look of polished white wines. But about 30 minutes has gone by since I did my last video clip installing the Headspace Eliminator, and I wanted to show you something. Look at that. There you go. Headspace Eliminator is still guided under vacuum. It's blanketed with a CO2, and it's still pulling out CO2. So there's a good example of what you can look for if you're going to allow this carboy to sit for an extended period of time. When you don't see any more bubbles rising, attach the all-in-one vacuum side to it again. You don't have to take it off. Just pop the cap off, put the vacuum hose back on there, turn it on, and listen to the pump. Once it reaches that higher pitch where you hear it straining, shut it off. Stick your little white cap back on there, watch your wine. If you don't see more bubbles coming up, guess what? Your work here is done on degassing. And hopefully, it'll be time to bottle and more importantly, drink.